Well, hello to all my American Horror Story historians. My name is EJ Marino, and yeah, we have another episode of American Horror Stories to talk about. I'm diving into Season 2, Episode 3, called Drive. Ooh, yikes. Oh no, we're back to episodes of American Horror Stories that are just not that great, filled with unlikable characters, not really a strong plot, and some really not great acting. Yeah, this episode really brought down the energy that this season was creating. Episode 1 and 2 weren't perfect. They weren't like, oh my god, this episode is wild and crazy. Well, the first one was. Actually, the first one is a very enjoyable ride that had connections to previous seasons. We like that stuff. Episode 2 was creating its own mood, its own atmosphere. Now, episode 3 decides to really bring down the whole vibe. Like, really, what was this episode about? There was themes that I did enjoy. There was moments that really captured me, but for the most part, I was bored this whole episode. Maybe it's the charisma vacuum that is Bella Thorne, but I just wasn't engaged by this. Honestly, the whole time I'm like, if Emma Roberts was playing this like Marcy character, would I like her a bit more? I just wasn't interested by the character, by the plot, by the acting. By the time we were at like Hostel 5 torture porn at the end, I was like, okay, cool. There was like one cool moment where we put an axe in someone's head, but what was the point?
I had a reason.
What was the reason? What was the reason?
Now, again, there was elements that really did intrigue me. There was the fears women have in modern society, especially in the dating world. They touched on that, and they used that against us, because when they tried to do the twist at the end, which admittedly I wasn't really 100% prepared for, I was just like, oh, that was a fun twist on our expectations. We see women in this situation, so we instantly get nervous for them, but surprise, the woman was the predator in this. Yeah, cool, in theory, a good plot, but just that Marcy character was incredibly unlikable when she's going on her like, but woe is me, this is why I'm doing this rant. I don't know if it was meant to be a completely insufferable rant from a villainous character, but I was just like, this is your motives? Like, I was hoping Nico dude would, like, break up out the chair and, like, fight her at the end, and maybe we would get a glorious win, like we kind of got in the first episode, where it was pretty positive of an ending. This one had a downer ending to a downer vibe, and I'm just, like, feeling down right now. I want to be uplifted, even in a fun, gross horror way. Like, episode 2 didn't have a completely positive ending, but I was just like, ooh, what a fun little twist. That was really messed up. This one had a messed up ending that I was just like, ugh, I don't think y'all earned that. I think y'all tried to be more clever than you were, but you weren't. Sorry, writer directors of this. Y'all weren't as funny, slick, and I don't know. Oh my goodness. I hope this is not the trend for the next couple of episodes. I'm staying up to midnight to watch these, but if I have to deal with more of this, we might be doing these reviews in the morning, because I need, oh my god, this episode, what are we doing? Oh god, I'm getting like PTSD of last season. This kind of reminded me of that Santa one, where it was filled with unlikable Gen Z, like, millennial characters, and I'm like, I can't go back. This gave me like double feature Death Valley vibes. I can't go back. I'm not doing it. American Horror Story, I was being positive. All right, now let's get to the recap of this episode, because there's really not much to talk about other than Bella Thorne just drove around a lot. The episode begins and we meet Marcy. Marcy's a fun girl. Marcy's a party girl. Marcy's a girl who hooks up with random people in her car. No shame on that, but girl, you made some choices with the people you picked. So yes, we meet Marcy. She is Bella Thorne's character, and she's in the clubs trying to meet some people. She hooks up with this one like two-pump chump loser, and we think that is like, oh, we're gonna set up that she's gonna like meet some men, and maybe the men are pretty toxic towards her. And we kind of go through the episode. In this thing, she has a hookup with somebody, and she begins to be followed by somebody on the way home. It's very similar to that urban legend, which opened the movie Urban Legend, where there is a killer in the backseat of a car, and the person behind them is trying to flash their lights to let them know. We kind of dive into that urban legend. I liked that. I was actually kind of intrigued by that. So we're going through a little bit of this episode, and Bella Thorne's Marcy cannot get this "I was being stalked" feeling out of her head. She goes to her husband. Yes, her husband. She's in an open marriage. They try to be real progressive here, and I'm like, ooh, open marriage, but there's a twist to their open marriage. Maybe they're open to killing more people, not just hooking up. Yeah, okay, cool. So, yeah, their marriage stuff, her and her husband aren't completely agreeing with it. She says, you should be going out to have more fun. I'm having all this fun, but why aren't you? You're being a wet blanket. She tries to say this to her best friend, and her best friend's like, maybe your husband got a point. Maybe you're a little too outlandish. Her best friend does not know the extent of what her and her husband are doing, but you can just tell that she's just like, you need to get into better communication with your man. Bella Thorne's not interested in that. She's just interested in being cool and going out and hooking up with people and maybe killing them. Yeah. So this is still what we're trying to do. We're still trying to set up these characters, and I'm like, for the twist to be the twist, they spent a lot of time trying to make us buy that Bella Thorne felt threatened, and she's not a good enough actor to make me feel threatened for real. And then it's like, oh no, you're pretending to be threatened because you're not. I was just like, you are asking this actress to do a lot more of a nuanced performance than she has in her.
I love Tina, but she doesn't have the range. I'm sorry, Tina, I love you, I adore you, no, I love you, but you don't have the range.
Marcy begins to hunt down the person that was flashing her lights, and she finds them. He's working at a little cutlery store. He's that one cute dude who was in Death Valley, the Nico guy. He's hot blonde dude. He's pretty. He's probably one of the better actors in this. I can't believe one of the weaker ones in Double Feature, was one of the stronger ones here. But she meets him at work, and they start kind of talking to each other. She's flirting with him, he's flirting with her, and she's trying to feel out the process. She's just trying to go, maybe I can see what this man was trying to do by stalking me. And she gets further into her investigation. She decides to go to his house, and I'm like, wow, the internet is really creepy. Like, the way you could just legit Google all this information to get, made me want to be a bit more secure with my information. So at least this episode taught me one thing. So yes, she ends up going to his house, finding where he lives, talking to him, and she's like kind of, I don't know, I was just like, okay, what are we doing? She's investigating him, she's talking to him, and then she was just like, I'm done, I'm leaving, and surprise, she stabs him in the neck with a little sleeping drug, animal tranquilizer, and I'm like, oh, and that's where the twist revealed is like her husband was in the house, he was protecting her because she goes out and has these little killing moments. She is the serial killer they keep talking about. There's this very the strangler thing, a killer who is coming around the neighborhoods and finding people in their cars and killing them, and it turns out she's the one that she's been worried about the whole time. Like, they do a lot of acting in the beginning where she's scared of this threat, but it's just like, it ends up being her, so why is she? They don't do enough, I think, maybe I can rewatch it, enough little hints that she's actually the killer throughout to make you, this ending, this twist, feel satisfying. So by the time she's setting up homeboy in a torture rack, I'm just like, okay. Oh, y'all really got me with this twist. I didn't see it coming, partially because I maybe wasn't paying attention that much, but also partially because the twist wasn't set up enough to be a satisfying moment. So now we're at the big torture scene, and I'm like, what are we doing? Miss Bella Thorne decides to go on a rant to this person, giving her whole, I am the killer, this is what's going on, this is my motives, and I'm like, oh, she has this scar on her face. She was made fun of that in high school by people who reminded her of this douchey guy, so that's her revenge plot, and I'm just like, a revenge story? Okay, I wanted more from this. This has a decent premise, twisting around the women being scared of men in society, the revenge aspect. There's a lot of this I could have liked, but it just didn't come together. But like I said, Bella Thorne wasn't able to carry the weight of this like she should have, because this whole end monologue's not great. The only good moment is her torturing this dude. The practical effects that were there were cool. Some of the CG effects were actually pretty decent, and I'm like, ooh, this torture scene's cool. So she sees her husband, decides, you know what? I'm gonna make it up. We're gonna be a couple again. And they decide to do a kill together at the end. I believe it was her best friend character. She was this beautiful black woman who I was just like, oh, you don't deserve the ending that I think this episode's giving you. It was like, I was hoping she maybe would get out and bust them in the face right at the end, and we see a glorious moment of like these two bad actors who are bad people get their bad comeuppance, and no, nothing. They kill her, the cut to the end, and the credits rolled, and I'm like, well, that's 40 minutes that I cannot believe I spent with this episode, and I don't want to think about again. Just like this episode, I wanted to get in and out of this. I am sorry that I'm not spending time with y'all, really diving into the nitty-gritty of this, but it really didn't inspire me. Like, I did the review because I like reviewing this stuff, but I don't have a lot to say. I wanted more to sink my teeth into, but this episode was a major letdown. Maybe y'all liked it, and if you did enjoy it, let me know what you think down in the comments below. Why did you like it? Because maybe you can explain to me why I wasn't connecting with it. There's elements there that are so smart that could work, but a better actor, maybe a better writer, really could have made this go above and beyond. But what we got is less than stellar. Actually, it's pretty not great. Oh, the more I think about this, the more I'm not going to like this episode. Hopefully, this is not the trend for American Horror Stories, and we continue the good vibes we've set up in 1 and 2. I'm going to keep waiting for Dominique Jackson in the Bloody Mary episode. The Cody Fern Milkmaid ones is coming up. So there's ones that I'm definitely looking forward to with legacy AHS characters or new people like Dominique Jackson. But for now, I'm just going to say Drive is at the bottom of the list. Where does it rank for you? What do you think of this episode? What do you think of this review? Share your feelings down in the comments below. Subscribe to my channel because I make videos like this every single week. And give me a thumbs up if you did enjoy. All right, everyone, let's talk about American Horror Stories down below.